what would happen if you could wish for something and it would suddenly appear? Sounds great, huh? Well, be careful what you wish for. Shore Leave takes place on an uncharted planet where your wishes will be granted whether you like them or not. Shore Leave was written by science fiction great Theodore Sturgeon, who also wrote A Mock Time. The first script for this episode was so imaginative that the network felt it was too abstract for the audience and too expensive to film, so they asked for a rewrite just when shooting was about to start. We were scheduled to begin shooting at a wildlife preserve called Africa USA, and when we arrived, we found Gene Roddenberry sitting on the ground, furiously scratching out scenes and lines on a yellow legal pad. There were a lot of holes in the script, and pieces of dialogue hadn't been written yet when the cameras were ready to roll, so a lot of what you're hearing was improvised as we went along. There was never a dull moment on a Star Trek set.
Well, girls, I suppose you can turn something up?
Star Trek is an entertainment piece, which is an attempt to deal with, in an entertaining way, with some of the great questions about humanity, about the way humanity functions on this planet, about the potential for humanity in the near and distant future, and the potential for interplanetary and intercultural relationships in the future, dealing with some of the great issues that have been questions for mankind always.
My impression is that your race is not yet ready to understand us, Captain.
I tend to agree.
I felt that McCoy, he was this very humanistic human being who is actually alive in this bizarre world. And he is being like the audience, like, oh my God, did you see that?
You know, you have to see this place to believe it. It's like something out of Alice in Wonderland.
Where is it, Cthulhu?
Collecting specimens.
Sulu was a consummate professional. He knew what to do with the helm. He was the best helmsman in Starfleet. But the other thing about him is that he had that eccentric quality about him. And in the negative universe, we saw someone again that was very ambitious, but in a very cutthroat way. So Sulu combines some polar elements in his character. The consummate professional, someone who strives for excellence, but at the same time has a humanizing quirk.
We are seeing things that cannot possibly exist, yet they are undeniably real.
Star Trek was about the only show that was infusing and enriching the television medium with pertinence, substance, and contemporary relevance. I personally was involved in those movements.
Yes, play, Mr. Sulu. The more complex the mind, the greater the need for the simplicity of play.
So it was reflecting some of my own passions, my own involvement in my work. And so in that respect, it was very satisfying. And to do this on television, which was characterized as a medium that was spewing pap.
Most illogical.
These things cannot be real. Hallucinations can't harm us.
It's always been my feeling that we came along during the hippie period, if you recall, and the youth of the country at that time were very despondent. They were on the highways, hitchhiking with their dogs, going quickly to nowhere. Along comes this show that showed them that there was somewhere to go, that there was something to look forward to.
One hallucination flattened me with a clout on the jaw. The other...
That sounds like a painful reality.
Yes.
There was a Vietnam War going on. There was a civil rights struggle going on. There was the hippie movement going on in America. Movements that were tearing the country apart. A war that tore the country into two factions. A civil rights struggle that divided us by race and color. And a liberation movement that was breaking up the very fundamental of society. Families were breaking up because of that. And Star Trek, by using science fiction as a metaphor, was reflecting the reality of the times.
For some odd reason, I thought it might make an exciting scene if I were to wrestle the tiger. No stunt double, no tame tabby. That tiger was on a steel chain. Just yours truly and a wild carnivore. Now, I don't know what got into me, but it sure seemed like a good idea at the time. Gene Roddenberry talked me out of it. He put an arm around my shoulder. And he convinced me that I was too important to the show to risk my life. Thank you, Gene, for keeping me from ending up as a furball.
When Walt Disney first opened Disneyland, he was trying to create a place where your imagination could run wild. A place where simply wishing on a star could make your dreams come true. He succeeded in building an amusement park like no other. But in truth, the dreams and the wishes were what he thought they should be. Walt didn't have any way to really know your dreams and wishes. But what if someone could make your every wish reality? If every wish you made did come true? Well, let's just say that our imaginations are fertile places, and sometimes our thoughts are better left in our heads. This episode was filmed at Vasquez Rocks in California. It's a popular location when film producers need a barren landscape or another world. It's a location that we would use in several later episodes, and in fact, we would return to the same location 20 years later. The rock formation that Finnegan is standing on is the exact same spot where Spock is seen for the first time in Star Trek IV. Shore Leave is one of our more playful stories. There are a number of episodes where we got to have some fun by putting our characters into some very unlikely situations. And this episode is full of them. A recurring theme in Star Trek is that it's necessary to maintain a balance between pleasure and responsibility. Shore Leave, therefore, is a cautionary tale. Even pleasure carried to extremes can be dangerous.